Hello everyone, it's Jilly here from funcraftstodoathome.com. Now in these strange times that we're living through at the moment, I've been trying to dream up crafts that you can do at home with stuff that you have laying around the house, because some people can't get out to get any craft supplies, and most craft supplies shops, at least in the UK, if not all of the craft shops, are closed. Before we start, just a quick reminder that if you don't want to listen to the voiceover, you can switch the sound off and switch the subtitles on. Now, to create these beads, you are going to need a certain amount of craft supplies already in stock, so hopefully most people will have paint and glue. And with the method that I use here, you are going to be able to make these beads. And the really brilliant thing is, you're going to be able to do this without a bead rolling tool. So what I've used here to make these beads is plain old kitchen towel that you use for mopping up spills in your kitchen. And to put the paint on, I've chosen to use my gel press plate, but you can use whatever method you want. Here is my gel press. But if you've only got brushes or even just your fingers, that will do too. And for the next couple of minutes, you're going to see me how I put the paint on mine. And I do like this method because it takes very little paint to cover the kitchen towel. And you'll see here that I do it in layers. So however you want to do that, make sure that you cover your kitchen roll in paint and make it nice and colourful. And I love to use metallics because they do give a lovely sheen to the surface. And you know, you may want to use these kitchen towels when you've done loads and dried them. Obviously you don't have to use them for beads, you can use them for whatever you want. You can make journal covers, anything. It's just good fun, and it certainly passes the time away when we're all stuck indoors at the moment. So obviously I'm just showing you what I did, but you can modify this whatever way you want and do what you like. These are just ideas for people that may be stuck in the house without many craft supplies. You may, for example, not have any paper, and I know it sounds like a really simple thing, but there's probably people out there that don't have any paper, but they may have kitchen towel. So they're just ideas that you can kind of modify. I'm just wondering how everyone is doing at home alone in this crisis. Hope you're all okay. It's not easy. I ended up doing several of these sheets. I did actually use this one to make some of the beads in the bracelet. I think what I did in the end was I made beads from two different sheets, and then on the bracelet I alternated them. I did two beads from this particular, the one that you see me making here, and then two beads from another one that was much more colourful. I just alternated them two and two to make the bracelet, which you'll see at the end. It was really weird because when mine had finished drying and I walked into the room kind of hours later, the first thing that came into my mind was snakeskin. It really looked like snakeskin that had been painted, just because of the design on the kitchen towel. I'm not sure what you call this in the USA. Do you call it kitchen roll, kitchen paper? I'm not sure. So when the paint's completely dry, put a good layer of PVA. So there's two more that I did, and that one there, the brightly coloured one that I showed you first, I used that to make some of the beads in the bracelet that you see at the start. So you can see how tough it is when you've put the PVA on. Now this is a paper bead template that I designed. I manufacture these myself and I do sell them in my Etsy shop. It just makes the process so much quicker. And you just have strips of removable glue tape on the back to hold it in place. Years ago, many years ago, when I first started to make paper beads, I think it was back in the 70s, I used to measure and cut, used to take such a long time. So a few years ago I designed this template. I've gradually refined it over the years, and this is what you get these kind of standard strips in whatever size out of the 4 sizes you choose to do. If you don't have a cutter like the one I've just used, obviously you can use good old scissors. So there's all the strips that I cut from that one sheet. Now I also manufacture a bead rolling tool, which you're going to see me use here. And I'm just demonstrating this to show you the difference between when you have a bead tool and when you don't. I'm going to show you the method to roll beads if you don't have a bead tool, and it is a slightly different result but still perfectly usable. And I do sell these bead tools in my Etsy shop. So the bead that you get from when you use the bead tool is you can roll them nice and tight, because obviously the bead tool is rigid, and you can pull back on the strip to make sure you get them nice and tight. Now, if you don't have a bead tool, this is what you can use. And this just suddenly came to me in a flash. Not only can you make beads without a bead tool, this is double-sided tape that I'm putting on here, by the way. Not only can you make beads without a bead rolling tool, but you've also got a plastic core, which of course you haven't got if you use a bead rolling tool. The only issue that I have with this is that because the straw is obviously flexible, you can't pull back on it the way that you can pull back on the bead tool to get to get the bead rolled nice and tight. So these beads are slightly looser, which means they are slightly bigger. But I mean, it doesn't matter, because if you can't get out, if you haven't got a bead tool and you can't get one anywhere, and you're really bored and you want to do some bead making now, then this is the perfect solution. So all you need is some kitchen towel, some drinking straws, and some paint, glue, a bit of Mod Podge if you've got it to varnish them with. So there's the difference. The one on the left is the one that I rolled with the bead tool, so it's nice and tight and slim, and the one that I did with the drinking straw is a bit fatter, a bit more loosely rolled. But it's fine. It's fine. Until the world goes back to normal, make your beads from drinking straws. And if you don't have double-sided tape, you can use Pritt stick or a glue stick, whatever you've got. It's not quite as good as using double-sided tape, I have to admit, because the glue's a bit slippery, and the paper strip can move around a little bit on the straw. But if you're careful, you can get away with using glue stick. Just don't put too much on. And there's the beads that I rolled. Oh, here's how I varnish mine. I use, well, this is one of the things I use, Mod Podge Super Gloss. You can put as many coats as you want. I just did one coat here. And then I just put them on toothpicks and stick them in a piece of Oasis to dry. And this is how I used my beads. When I make beads that are 1 inch wide, I do prefer to string them this way. But of course you can put them end to end if you want to and use spacer beads, but I do love this way. And here's all the leftover bits. I would say don't throw them away because you can use them in scrapbooking. Can you see here how I alternated between this, beads made from this, and beads made from this? And I think it's pretty amazing that from this, from kitchen roll and a drinking straw, you can get a whole bracelet. Anyway, thank you for being here. It's lovely to have you here. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing. Hit the bell icon so that you get notification of my future videos. Don't forget to like. Hope everyone stays well, and I hope you're not too lonely. Please join me in my next video, and as always, I will be very pleased to see you. Take care, and bye till next time.